I'm Tom Keating, Director of the Centre for Financial Crime and Security Studies at RUSI. As we look ahead to what the UK's new economic crime plan should address, my focus is on the international dimension of the plan. The previous edition was, as I have described before, an exercise at throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. Despite some technical progress, the UK remains a central global problem in international illicit finance, providing all the services and tools that kleptocrats, crooks and the corrupt require. It is far from the stated goal of delivering an ambitious international strategy to enhance security, prosperity and the UK's global influence. In the face of the tragedy in Ukraine, the Johnson government has grudgingly taken some action, but I stress some. There remains a lot to be done with Economic Crime Plan 2, including fixing the remaining UK issues that have a global impact. For example, Companies House reform and leveraging the data held by the UK's Crown dependencies and overseas territories to support global partners fight illicit finance. The UK needs to become a much more active contributor to global asset recovery, and the FCDO must have a much more central role in the UK's response to illicit finance beyond merely managing in-country programming. International illicit finance is a diplomatic stain for the UK, so the government must recognise this by more actively empowering the FCDO in its response. The UK is ideally positioned to leverage its central role in global finance to be a force for good. The government's integrated review of defence and security hints at this ambition, but to achieve this, practical measures and leadership are needed. The updated economic crime plan is an opportunity too good to miss.
Tackling economic crime requires a whole of system response, an important part of which are the preventative measures deployed by the private sector to stop these crimes happening in the first place. But preventative measures only go so far alone. An essential underpinning of an effective, credible system is a criminal justice enforcement response to disrupt and prosecute those offenders who do slip through the preventative net. And it's here where the UK system's fallen down. The UK has some of the most stringent anti-economic crime laws and regulations in the world. However, these laws are rarely robustly enforced. Law enforcement and wider criminal justice system cuts over the past decade have fallen hardest in the sphere of these less visible crimes. So, in short, while it looks good on paper, the UK system has really failed to provide the credible deterrent needed to deter these crimes, which has led, as we've seen, to the UK's outsized role in the global laundromat and its entrenched fraud problem. The launch of the UK's second economic crime plan in autumn 2022 offers a really good opportunity to change this. It's essential that this plan commits to a significant increase in investment in the enforcement environment, including with a focus on the National Economic Crime Centre and greater investment in the regional economic crime units. But it's also essential that it builds some new system-wide capabilities such as better data analytics, intelligence analysis functions and forensic investigative capacity across the system.
Asset recovery is the process by which the proceeds of crime are removed from criminals via criminal justice investigations. Asset recovery mechanisms are a core pillar in law enforcement efforts related to all proceeds generating crimes. Because money is the common thread and primary motive, taking away the profits from criminals provides deterrence and sends a message that crime does not pay. It also compensates any victims of crime and disrupts criminal activity, while reducing dangers to society and guaranteeing the rule of law. The UK is one of the preferred destinations for investing ill-gotten money. At present, it has some of the most robust asset recovery frameworks in the world. However, these powers are underutilized and, far from growing year on year, the value of criminal finances recovered in the UK has stagnated. The war in Ukraine has also highlighted the scale of Russian-linked assets in the UK and the limitations of current mechanisms in dealing with the recovery of proceeds of corruption. With a wide panoply of assets confiscation tools at its disposal, the UK ought to be leading the global charge to reinvigorate and reform asset recovery. The launch of the government's second economic crime plan in autumn 2022 offers an opportunity to do this. It's essential that this plan commits to better public sector resourcing of asset recovery and further reforms to legislation to overcome the barriers to asset recovery of corruption proceeds. The UK should also seek to reinvigorate and reform some of the multilateral mechanisms for global asset recovery coordination, such as carrying. The plan should also aim at providing greater guidance to origin countries to ensure that mutual legal assistance requests are filed properly and the money is returned to their rightful owners.
The UK has long been acknowledged of having fairly robust laws and regulations around economic crime. The last evaluation by the Financial Action Task Force scored the UK highly in terms of its technical compliance with global anti-money laundering standards, but it's always been much more of a challenge to ensure that the regulations are having the right outcomes. The strength of the UK's defences against dirty money relies almost entirely on the private sector. Banks, lawyers, estate agents, amongst others, are the first line for identifying dodgy customers and reporting suspicious activity. They don't really do this out of the goodness of their hearts, but because they are legally obliged to do so. One of the problems in the UK is the fragmented nature of AML supervision of these legal obligations. Inconsistent and poor quality supervision, especially by the 22 professional bodies overseeing the legal and accountancy sectors, has led to gaps which criminals and kleptocrats have been able to exploit. The government's recent consultation on the UK money laundering regime concluded that there was a need to reform the model of AML supervision in the UK. At the moment, all of the options for change are on the table. We will be keeping a close eye on how the government will look to address issues with supervision in the short term, while at the same time coming up with a new long-term solution.